David Birch is an advisor on digital financial services. He joins us now live from London to talk more about it. David, thanks so much for being with us. What has changed about, Bitcoin for it to be gaining this kind of attention from the bigger firms? I mean, do you think it's worthy really of that valuation?
I think it's very difficult to say what the valuation should be, to be honest, Andrea, because you're talking about a very opaque market. Because you don't know who it is who's buying and who's selling, it's very difficult to tell what's speculation and what's real sustained long-term investment. But I have to say, if you look at some of the recent experiences, you'd have to say there seems to be, by looking at the figures, there seems to be a case that the market is being driven upwards. Retail investors are being drawn in, and then some of the larger holders are cashing out. So there's some speculation going on here. I don't think any of us are crazy enough to imagine that the fundamentals suddenly changed by 400% this year.
Right. And what confuses me fundamentally about Bitcoin is that when it was launched, there was a lot of, mystery around it, but still the fundamental idea was that this can replace fiat currencies. They can be controlled by the user. We don't have to depend on governments and banks that can hold us hostage to their failings as well. But I still have yet to see it really replacing fiat currency in any way. Instead, it seems to have become just another commodity to trade in on the markets.
I think that's a very accurate observation. If you look at, one of the nice things about Bitcoin, I certainly think it has incredible value as an experiment, even if it's not the long-term solution, is of course it's public. You can look and see what's happening exactly. And the use of it is still really pretty limited. The number of people who are using Bitcoin to buy and sell real goods and services is fractional compared to the amount of speculative trading that's going on. So I think the idea of it replacing currencies, especially in payment systems, at the moment is a little far-fetched. Especially also, remember, central banks around the world are now beginning to look at their own digital currencies. And you might imagine that the regulatory environment might reshape a little when those central banks have their currencies to bring to the market. The point about that you don't have to trust anybody, that's a really interesting point. But there are pluses and minuses to this. I as a citizen, I'm not sure that money should be outside of democratic control and outside of the control of society. It seems to me that if money is completely anonymous and completely free from any constraints, that rather benefits the rich and the powerful at the expense of everybody else. So it sort of sounds good, but I'm not sure it is in itself, the right solution. Having said that, what we're learning from Bitcoin is an incredible amount.
Yeah, well, I want you to expand on that a little bit, because one of the most informative anecdotes I heard was from a person I met that was working for an NGO in Nigeria. And he said that he was one of the few that actually had to use Bitcoin as his currency of choice because he just couldn't get the payments he needed to the Nigerian banks. If someone had to give him US dollars, he couldn't get it because of the due diligence and all the security issues. And Bitcoin was the way. So he was actually, Bitcoin was his dollar. Shouldn't we be seeing more of that happening?
I'm not sure if finding a way to avoid international capital controls and know your customer regulation is really the best selling point. The canonical example everybody always uses is Venezuela. But if you look at what's going on in Venezuela, where the currency has collapsed, actually it's Zelle, it's US dollar accounts in Zelle, which are the sort of big growth area, not Bitcoin. No, I'm prepared to listen to other arguments, but I feel that most of the use of Bitcoin is genuinely speculative,
right?
Rather than some. Yes, there are some niche use cases you could point to like this, but I don't think that's enough to explain the price rise. The price rise is speculation.
Seems just another commodity. Just a quick question for you. I've just got to ask you this because you study this currency or this cryptocurrency so closely. Why has it suddenly become the center of so many conspiracy theories now? People are talking about, now Bill Gates is trying to, implant this somehow into society, and we're all going to be slaves to cryptocurrency. Why that bizarre fascination with this, and some of it's somehow it's this evil being? Go ahead.
you have to blame social media for that, not Bitcoin. But part of it is, remember, I mean, Bitcoin, it has a creation myth, because of the mystery of Satoshi Nakamoto and who really created it. I mean, things like Visa are boring. They don't have a creation myth. We know who created Visa. We know how it started. We know that's not fun. You can't have a good conspiracy about that. For something to be a conspiracy, it has to have this little bit of mystery about it. So how it all got mixed up with 5G and vaccines and whatever, I'm not really sure. But you need to ask a social media expert that, not
Okay.
not a
Well,
payment,
David Birch,
not a payments
yeah,
expert.
but fascinating to talk to you nonetheless. Really, thanks so much for taking the time.
You're
I really
welcome.
appreciate it.